How are ya? It's your girl, Jackie, from the Financial Literacy Tribe, coming at you with my favorite. You guys know I have said it multiple times on all of my videos, the level of excitement that I experience when talking about budgeting. Budgeting is my favorite thing. Different types of budgets, talking about the differences, the intricacies of the budget world. I'm weird, I know, but I promise this is going to be a good one. Today we're talking about zero-based budgeting, or AKA comprehensive budgeting. This, I don't mean to pick favorites, because you guys know every video I'm like, this is my favorite budget. I don't mean to pick favorites, but this one genuinely is my favorite budget, and I'm going to tell you why. It is the budget that I use. That's right. Your girl uses the zero-based comprehensive budget. Why do I like it? Because I'm a control freak. If you are the type of individual who likes to control where every single little penny that you make goes and track every single tiny little expense like an absolute psychopath, because that's what you like, this is the budget for you. Let's jump right in. So as I alluded to in my introduction, the zero-based budget, basically in a nutshell, if I can summarize it in as few words as possible, is basically you assigning every dollar, every single dollar, penny that you get in your paycheck, a job. There is not a single dollar that is unaccounted for and you don't know where it went. Every single dollar that you get, you have designated a specific category, a specific expense for that dollar. And so basically at the end of the month, once your paychecks have come and gone, your account is going to go down to zero. We want it to go down to zero because that means that every single dollar that we got went where it is that we wanted it to go. That's why it's called a zero-based budget, because we want our bank account to go down to zero. That's the goal. Just to clarify, does that mean that we're spending every single dollar that we get on nonsense or silly things or going out to eat or shopping for Gucci shoes? No, because remember, your money is going specifically where you designate it to go. It's going into the categories that you have preset. So this is definitely like a control. If you're a control freak, this is definitely the budget for you. I think that's why, like I said, I enjoy it. I don't usually admit to people that I have very type A tendencies, but definitely when it comes to my finances, I have very type A tendencies and I very much enjoy the control of everything. So basically, this entire budget, the zero-based comprehensive budget, I have summarized it for you in 5 easy steps. So let's run through them, shall we? Step 1, you are going to want to, and by the way, you should be doing this step for any budget, whatever budgeting style it is that you subscribe to, you should always start with this. On a piece of paper, or if you live in the 21st century, on a spreadsheet or some sort of a Word document or whatever, you are going to want to list every single one of your normally occurring expenditures. All of the things that you normally spend your money on, all of your bills, all of your food costs. If you go out to eat, how much it is that you normally spend to go out to eat. If you go out shopping a lot, how much it is that you normally spend when you go out shopping. You want to list all of your expenditures in one place and add it all up. That's what you want to do as your very first step. Now, in general, if we're talking about expenditures, there's normally 2 categories, right? All of your expenses will fall into 2 separate buckets, and that's fixed expenses and variable expenses. Your fixed expenses are bills where the amount does not change. So as an example, your rent is not usually going to vary from month to month. Whatever your rent is, it's the same every single month. We call that a fixed expense. On the other hand, something like your gas and electric bill or your food costs, that's probably going to vary slightly from month to month. So we call those types of expenses variable expenses. For your variable expenses, since the amount will change from month to month, it is a good idea, and I highly recommend that you take a look at your bank statements and your credit card statements and take an average of how much it is that you're spending for those variable expenses. It's going to give you a much more honest account of how much you're really spending, as opposed to if you try to guess off the top of your head, especially when it comes to stuff like how much you're spending when you go out to the bar, how much that you're spending when you go out to the club, how much that you're spending when you go out shopping. If I were to ask you how much you're spending on those specific things, the answer might be one answer, but your credit card statement usually has a very different answer. And so for this first step, you really have to be as honest as humanly possible with yourself. My biggest recommendation for you guys is to try to make this budget, if you choose to use this budget, make it as realistic and honest as you possibly can. The reason that I say that is because I know so many people who try this budget and they forget to include certain things as part of their monthly expenditures, even though they do those things every single month. So just as an example, if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are going to order takeout once a week, that's just what they do in your house, that's what you do, why wouldn't you account for that in your expenditures? There should be a category in there, whether it's part of your food budget or whatever, you should be accounting for that. It's okay. If you know that you're going to have to buy clothes for your kid multiple times a year because they're growing out of everything, you should account for that in your expenditures. So definitely don't be afraid to spend money. Like if you need to spend money on something because it's a part of your life, you should feel comfortable to do that. Just be sure that you're creating space for that in your actual budget by including it in your expenditures. Step two in creating your comprehensive zero-based budget is on that same sheet of paper or that same spreadsheet or Word document, wherever it is that you're doing this, you are going to want to write down how much it is that you make every single month, how much it is that you're bringing in every single month. For the most part, that should be pretty easy. If you have a regular job or a salaried position, you pretty much get the same amount from month to month, right? It's not really going to change. If you have the type of job where it's going to really vary to the extremes, you know, like maybe you're like a contractor and you do contract work, or I don't know, a freelancer or something like that, then I want you to do the same thing that we did in step one. And I want you to take a look at your bank statements and take an average of how much it is that you have been making within the past 6 months to a year. That's going to give you a good idea of around how much it is that you bring in from month to month. Step 3, subtract your monthly expenditures from your monthly income. You want to know how much it is that you have left over. So subtract however much it is that you make, take that number and subtract from it however much it is that you're spending. That leftover money, the money that you have left over after all of your bills and your regular expenditures are spent, we call that margin. That's the amount that you have left over after all of your bills and your expenses. That's margin is what it is that we call it. And so step 4 is going to be to really reflect on that number. If you have a negative number, that's a problem. That means that you are spending more than what it is that you actually have. Maybe it's not a negative number, or maybe it's not as much margin as you would like to have. Either way, I want you to reflect on that number. If you're not happy with how much margin it is that you have left over from month to month, then at that point, I want you to reflect and I want you to think about where we can trim some fat. So you're going to go back to step 1, look at your expenditures and what are the things that you're spending your money on. What are the things that we can cut out? What are the things that we can cut down on? You know, do you have to go clothes shopping every single week? Do you have to go out to eat 3 times a week? do you have to pay for that spa membership? I don't know what your expenditures look like, but whatever it is, this is the opportunity for you to really reflect on where it is that your money is going and be honest with yourself about what are the things that you could cut out that would really benefit you, in that they're going to be able to fund your goals instead of it going toward Applebee's or TGI Fridays or whatever it is that you're spending your money on. So now is that time to really reflect and try to figure out where it is that you can trim the fat. So once you are satisfied with the amount of margin that you have left over after all of your bills and your expenses are paid, now you have to give that leftover money, your margin, a job. Don't forget, this is the comprehensive zero-based budget. So we're not even going to have not even $1 that's unaccounted for. Every single dollar that we have that we made from our paycheck has to have a job. So now you have to figure out where it is that you are putting that leftover money toward. Hypothetically, you can use it for whatever it is that you want. Maybe you really want to go on vacation 5 times a year. I don't know. Then you can use it all towards your vacation fund. You can use that money for whatever. My recommendation for you, I am a believer that any leftover money that you have at the end of the day should go into one or both of the following buckets. I think that any leftover margin that you may have should either go toward paying off debt, specifically if you have consumer debt such as credit cards or a car loan that you're paying off, something like that with a high interest rate. Definitely it should be going towards debt, and or you should also be saving in some capacity. That's my recommendation. There's a million things that you can do, but I'm a believer in paying off debt and saving money. In terms of what specifically you should be saving for, don't forget the recommendation is that every single person, no matter who you are, you should definitely have an emergency savings in place. At its best case scenario, your emergency savings should have 3 to 6 months worth of your expenditures. So if I'm spending, this is just an example, but if I'm spending $1,000 a month, then my emergency savings should have anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 in it. That is best case scenario in terms of an emergency savings. So definitely you can put your margin towards an emergency savings. It can go towards retirement. It can go towards funding your kids' education. There's a million things that you could be saving for. You should be using any leftover money to really fund your goals and your dreams. What are the things that you want to accomplish financially? This is what it is that you should be using to fund those dreams and those goals. And guys, that's it. I have now given you the 411 on how to do a comprehensive zero-based budget. If you decide to try this budget, please be sure to comment in the comment section. As mentioned, I use this budget, so I would be very excited to know that I'm not the only crazy person that really likes controlling every single dollar by using this budget. So be sure to comment below. Certainly if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content similar to this content, then be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified whenever I have a new video out. I hope that you guys have a fabulous day. Be sure to check out my blog, which is available at focusedfrugalfab.com. And I will see you guys soon. Bye!